Right, so if everybody could open up on your side the folder that I shared with you, it should look like this. Um, and so two folders in here. You've got a students folder and a data folder. So within students, you have a template student folder, and these two files will not be there. I'm just putting these in for a demo purpose. So this folder is a folder that's going to be copied for every student. And so you can actually customize this and add drive files that you want every student to have in their folder. So for instance, I'm going to put these into the template student folder. And there's actually two kind of levels here. So you have your main folder and you have this one called student. So the idea here is that um, the student is going to have access to this subfolder, but the admin or the tutor will have access to this top folder. And so you don't share this top folder. Well, this is just a template, but we'll see kind of as we go what it's going to look like once you have a student folder. Um, so I want the admin notes file to be outside of the student folder so that only the admin or the tutor has access to it. And then I want my session notes to be accessible to the student. And so I'm going to put this one in here. This is part that you won't have, you won't have on your side, but I just want to demo how that would work. So the idea here is that in this folder here, these three files, uh, the um, the tutor has access to, but not the student. And then inside here, we've got folders and files that the student will have access to. So backing up, you can come into your template student folder and open up the SAT admin answer analysis. It looks something like this. You may not have these not found errors or this, but you may. If you have this box here, you want to hover over it and click allow access. If it tells you you can't allow access, just let me know in the chat or in an email. But I think for most folders, I've already done this step for everybody. And then there's one error that I'm going to get on this side. Notice this is I made this is just a sample folder for the tutorer, which if anybody's interested, the tutorer.com is available. Um, and so basically, if it looks like this with the red, it means that I forgot a step on my side, which this is something that I try to do for everybody up front, and then you don't have to worry about it. But you would go into data, and in the student data files here, these are just not linked at the moment, but yours should be linked already. This is just a one-time thing that I usually do on my side. And so now that the data is flowing, these should go away now. Sometimes takes a minute. Okay. So some of you may be familiar with this kind of from the previous version. Um, and the idea here is that you have a reading and writing and math tab. And these are for all the questions in the College Board's question bank that do not show up on practice tests. Recently, as you may know, the College Board, retired tests 1 to 3 and introduced tests 7 through 10. Tests 8 through 10 have a lot of questions from tests 1 to 3. And so um, any questions that were on 1 to 3 and are no longer on 8 to 10 um, got added in kind of at the end of the concept worksheets. So those are now kind of questions that are available on the worksheets. And so as you scroll down here, you'll see all the different College Board defined skills that are on the um, that are on the practice tests. and in the question bank. And so if you want to kind of jump down to a section, you can click on these links and that'll bring you down to text structure and purpose, for instance. And I now have links to the worksheets throughout all these. So you have level 1, 2, and 3 difficulty. And so here is all of the text structure and purpose questions that um, are in the question bank, but not on a practice test. And so they're safe to use with students who haven't done the practice tests yet. Now, so this that what we're looking at right now is the admin side of things. So you have the answer key, but I just want to also show you what the student sees. Um, and in the student folder, um, you've got your SAT student answer sheet. And so they see something very similar, except they don't have the answer key. And I'll demonstrate kind of how this works with with the student adding answers once we create a student folder. We're still looking at the template right now. Remember, the template is what's going to be copied, so you never want to um, edit this sheet unless you are, doing some styling or something that you want, every new sheet to already have. But there's a bunch of stuff in here that you want to make sure not to mess with. So for instance, like these columns here are IDs. And so if you accidentally delete this, it'll actually give you, first of all, give you a warning that you get these warnings when you're on the template to say, okay, are you sure you want to edit this? And it'll actually turn red if you accidentally delete something. So if that happens, just do an undo. You can also see I have keyboard shortcuts in the bottom corner here. So if I do something without mentioning it, you can kind of see what's happening. Okay, so um, to actually make a student folder, um, you do come into the admin answer analysis. You can come into the SAT admin or the ACT admin template. And there should be this button that says scripts. And you will have options for SAT, ACT, or test prep student. The idea is that a test prep student gets both the SAT and ACT folders, while, or you can just go specific with, if a student knows which one they're going to be working on. The ACT spreadsheet needs some work. I've definitely been investing more time onto the SAT side of things just because that's the vast majority of my students. So you can try running any of these, but I'm going to try running the test prep student a script here. It's going to give me, it's going to ask me to authorize, and it's going to give me a message. I don't know if you guys might not be able to see the box that just popped up. Let me just share my desktop for a minute here. Okay, so you're going to get this message. I have not gone through the verification process with Google. Although I think I'm probably getting closer to that, to needing to do that. So what you're going to want to do is click Advanced, and you're going to have to click this scary button that says it's unsafe. If you feel, if you're uncertain about doing this, I totally understand. One option is to make a kind of a Gmail account that's not connected to all of your other data so that you can run this from a kind of a separate Gmail account. All I can tell you is that I'm using the exact same functions to run my spreadsheets as you are. I'm going to click that, click Allow. This first time that you run it, when you give it permissions, it doesn't tell you it's running the script, but it does ask you for a name. Let's do something a little bit more interesting. Okay. Um, so it is running and it's creating a folder, which you can see in the students folder here. And so you see Joe Smith is being created. So there's a number of steps that um, are kind of needing to be linked together and things that have to be run. So we kind of need to, first of all, before we kind of mess with it, we need to make sure that we get kind of a confirmation message here. This does take a little time, um, but it should be worth the wait. But I guess this is a good time to check if we have any questions so far and if people are following along or if they're having trouble keeping up.
Danny, I just sent you the request to access me. I think you should have received it.
Okay.
The previous folder which you sent me, yeah, Google Drive.
I'm still on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Danny, I was thinking, so like the SAT admin has like level one, level two, level three, and it's clickable and you can see the PDFs, but why like I thought it was the key, but it's just it's just like the PDF without the key. So shouldn't like the student, I mean
On
tutor,
on the admin one.
yeah.
Yeah. So um, I'm actually thinking probably a next step that I'm thinking is to add links to the keys in the corrected content.
Ah,
So you
oh,
have,
that's smart. Okay. I like that, yeah. But does
and
the
that
student
way,
also have access to level one, level two, level three? Like, can they click on it and they get the concept board sheet?
yes, yes. So
Oh, I didn't
that's,
know
yeah. So that's actually something that I think will be helpful to get students to actually put
that.
their answers into the to the student sheet is because you can now send them to the
Oh.
spreadsheet for like all their homework, all the concept worksheet homework. Yeah, so that's a good kind of segue. Um, Vikas, I am not sure I got your request. Did you send it to my email or on chat?
Yeah, I just opened the email which you sent me. So it says just allow request to access the folder which you sent me.
Okay. I don't see. Let me see. I'm not. So you're not able to get into it right now?
Yeah, it says me the drive folder, but when I click it, it says request access. You need access to that. So when I'm saying request, wait, hold on. I think I sent
Y-
you the wrong. Yeah,
Um, could you potentially be logged into a different
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Gmail
That,
account?
that is the issue. I think yes, you
Okay.
are right.
Okay. Yeah,
Let
sorry
me.
about that. I'm not sure why it didn't give me the request, but um so are you in now then?
Yeah, now I think it's
Okay,
better.
awesome. Okay. Um it's so strange that that I do not have the little like highlight of my screen, but you guys can see the tutorer drive folder right now?
Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Good. Okay, so then we got that message which I kind of skipped by that said that the folder was completed successfully. Um, when you run it in the future, you're going to get this message that says running script, and so you'll know that it's happening. But when you give the permissions, it doesn't have that running script thing. Um, so that's usually helpful. So I'm going to go into the folder I created.
Wait,
And,
sorry, Danny,
yep.
permissions? Because I always get running script. Permissions, which permissions?
Oh, basically, the first time you run a function on a spreadsheet, it asks you like, are you like, do you give permission to the script to run? Um,
Oh,
and so yeah, once you've done it on the template, you won't have to do it on the template again.
well,
So you've probably been using the template for a little while now. Um,
yeah.
and then but on each new spreadsheet, so on a student spreadsheet, there are certain functions you can run here, and it's going to ask you for permissions there again, which I think we'll
Got
see
it.
that in a minute.
Okay.
So then for every new student, you also have to connect the data. So this is kind of what I was showing before with the template, but you'll always have to do this with each student. Again, let me know if you don't get this allow access button, and that will show up. It should show up when you hover over this REF error. And once you do that, all of these answers should show up as found.
What should we do if we don't get the REF error?
Are you getting not founds here?
No,
Okay,
it looks blank.
if you have the answer key here, then you should be fine.
Okay,
Um, it would be I would be curious to see there if it's not if you're not getting any error there, it's possible that your admin data is public, and maybe I just need to restrict the permissions. The idea of that, is that this kind of guarantees that a student who knows a lot about spreadsheets can't get access to the answer key. Um, and so that's kind of why that's there. If you're not getting that message, it's probably public, and so technically that's a possibility that they could, you know, get access to the answer key. So I can kind of double check that for you.
thanks.
Yeah. Okay. So then we've got a few different things to look at. So um, many of you have kind of seen some of this already, um, where we have our practice tests that we can, you know, one way to, if a student did a practice test, and you want to add their answers to it, kind of the initial way to um, get the easiest way, or the previously easiest way to get their answers into the spreadsheet was to basically copy an entire module's answers into the answer column. Notice if you paste normally, it's going to give you a bunch of errors. Well, I did apparently copy the right thing there. Hold on. First copy it. And then if I just paste as normal, it's going to give me errors. So if you do that on accident, just do undo. Okay. And you need to paste as values. So you can either, I forgot to copy again. You can come up here and do paste as values only, or you can use the keyboard shortcut that's there um, to bring it in like that. And then you would basically have the student show you their Blue Book results, and you could change the answers to the ones that they missed. Now, we now have a maybe a nicer way to do this with this tool that I made, where they can actually add a PDF of their score report and a PDF of their score details page. And they can actually connect, basically put a link to their answer analysis spreadsheet, and it will automatically add their answers into their spreadsheet. They can do that on the student side or on the admin side. Either link works basically. So, um, and one thing I kind of wanted to mention that I forgot is just to give a demo of how the students' answers can get imported into the admin sheet. So if the student's doing homework and you send them a link to their student answer sheet, which is in the folder that you've already shared with them anyway, they can put in answers here. That I need to fix because that we don't want that error message coming up for the students. So I usually show the students this like on the first day or whatever, to show them like, okay, have them put their answer, a few kind of made up answers in here, and then show them that over in the reading and writing tab on my side, I can see that unfortunately they missed all of those. So better luck next time. Um, so then basically this all becomes part of um, the the analysis. So this opportunity area sheet, um, this will show them how they're doing on all questions on both the concept worksheets and on the practice tests combined. If you want to see just their work on a practice test, you have these sheets over here. And, obviously I haven't put in all of the answers yet. I just put in one module. So let me just actually show you what it would look like if you did have kind of a full test here. So this, what I call third module, is the harder second module. Just gonna make up some random ones that they missed. So I'm just, you can, you'll see these keyboard shortcuts in the recording if you want to come back and look at them, but they're definitely nice to, get comfortable with. Okay, so they missed a bunch of random stuff. And over in this sheet now, we can see kind of the breakdown of how they did. If they omit questions, use a hyphen, and those questions will then show up in a separate column under omitted. But you can see here that it's counting the percent correct out of the total. Okay, I think that's a good place to pause and see where everybody's at.
Danny, are we supposed to be able to see the screen shortcuts on screen? Because I don't think we are.
Oh, really? That's a bummer. So you can't see.
Do you know what app you're using, like
left?
Keyline Pie or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't show up in the screen share at the very least. If you share your display rather than just the window, it should
Got
work.
it. Okay, let me just show you a couple keyboard shortcuts then. Let me share my desktop and maybe hide everybody's faces. Okay. Thanks, Brad. Okay, so can you now see the keyboard shortcut at the bottom left?
Yeah, there it is.
Cool. So that's to highlight down the column and then copy over and paste as values. Except, there we go. And so again, like that. So that's probably one of the most used keyboard shortcuts for me. If I was putting them into, putting answers into the spreadsheet like this. Okay, but I think I'll just I'll go back to sharing my one window and I'll just try to do everything manually. Okay, any other questions at the moment in terms of how this all fits together or?
Yeah.
Sir?
Yeah, I have one question that how were you pasting? Was it paste special? Because mine is not working when I'm pasting it on the answer.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, paste special, you have to paste as values. This is the Mac keyboard shortcut, and there's a slightly different one for PC.
Okay.
But yeah, once you copy it with Command C or Control C, then you should be able to paste in with Command
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Command Shift V or Control Shift V.
Okay. And I'm also not seeing the student folder in my this analysis which you sent me.
Okay, I'll have to look at that.
Oh.
It might just be a little bit confusing as to the structure of it, but I'll take a look.
Yeah, I have only the admin and the answer analysis with me.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, maybe there was maybe it didn't run all the way through for some reason.
Okay.
Fucking good messing this shit, man.
What's that?
Sorry. My audio, sorry.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So let me go ahead and demonstrate the rev sheets. Let me get rid of, I don't want to be on my templates. So I have lots, I get lost in all the spreadsheets sometimes. So we have, okay, so I'm checking that we have both Joe Smith, the admin sheet, and the Joe Smith student sheet. So I'm going to remove these guys. And So then these will go away. So rev sheets are basically when a student misses questions, then they are eligible to be added to a rev sheet. You can think of it as a revision sheet or a revenge sheet. And so this is going to be a random subset of questions that the student has missed that they want to retry. So we have 14 questions. I guess these were from the practice test that I just pasted in that they missed. But they would also be, if we added questions over here that they missed, we'll get some more questions available. And you can also select a subset, a certain category of questions that you want the student to work on. So these are all the skills up here, but then there's also the domain level designations as well that you can pick from. So let's see how they were doing on standard English conventions. They've missed 12 in total on standard English conventions. And so then I can click create. I'm then going to get this authorization step again, where I have to click that it's unsafe. You probably can't see this part of it, but it's the same as the one that we saw before. And then it'll ask me what max questions I want. So I'm just going to say, let's just do a rev sheet with 5 questions. And again, this is going to take a minute to run. If you'd like, we can look at that's actually not the one. Let's see. There is, let's see, is it running? There it is. So this is kind of going on in the background. You never want to mess with this sheet, but you can kind of look at it to see what's happening. So it's grabbing the questions, it's changing the row height based on the image size, so that it looks like similar like font size and stuff like that. And so you see this one is probably going to need to expand to look correct with the other ones. There it is. And then over here, we'll get another confirmation message that it has completed. And you also notice this is underlined. So when these get underlined, it means that it's linked. So this column gets linked to the rev sheet folder where the student will have access to this. This will be added to the students folder. There's nothing in here yet because it hasn't finished. And then you saw this just got underlined, and this is the rev sheet key folder. So this is in the admin file or the admin folder for the student. And so the tutor would have access to this, but not the student. So, and this is probably a better place to show kind of the difference between what you share with the tutor and what you share with the student. So you've got kind of the top level folder is just the student's name, and that's the admin level. And then this is the folder that you would share with the student. And then everything else here is only accessible to the tutor or admin. And so now we see that it's completed. And so we get an answer key here. And the student also gets an answer key here. So they can add their answers in. Actually, I want to show you one thing before I do that. So as it stands, we have 7. Oops, it just changed because I missed those. But so we have 7 questions available for standard English conventions. And so currently these questions are not eligible for another rev sheet because we haven't answered them yet. But if we miss questions, they are now eligible again for another rev sheet. So if they miss it, they get another chance. If they want, they can potentially have another chance later on. And you can see here, this is our key. So the main difference is that it shows you the concept for the tutor and it also shows the answer. And for the student's version, which they also have a link here for the that same folder. They don't see the concept and they don't see the answer column. Any questions about rev sheets or anything else?
How does this digital SCT data works? It is just a data, or can we do something in that? There is one more folder you shared.
Ask one more time.
There was one digital SCT data.
Yeah.
So how does that help us?
Okay, so this is the public folder that's shared, and you're talking about this one here.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the underlying data for all the spreadsheets. So this data gets imported into the question bank data sheet and practice test data sheet.
Okay, okay.
You actually have, technically, you have your own data sheet for each. So basically, let me back up here. So the tutorer here has their own data sheet. And this is what's technically, oh, this is the ACT one. Let me go to the SAT one. This is linked to the same spreadsheet as that digital SAT. So this 1XO ID is the same as the digital SAT data.
Okay, got it.
1XO here. Yeah. But what
Thank
that means is that if you at some point want to kind of like have your own categorizations or something like that, you could technically kind of disconnect this from the my data and then have your own data that you're working with.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Annie, do you recommend adding the concept, like the updated concept worksheets on the tutor template folder? No, yeah, template folder, right?
Right. So yeah, in the template folder. So the question is, we've got these links to all the different worksheets,
Yeah.
and do you recommend kind of in the template folder also
Mm-hmm.
having a copy of all of those worksheets? So is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just asking, do you think I should do
Right.
that?
So the um, the good thing about doing that, so the idea would be that under SAT, so like for instance, in my template folder, I have a concepts subfolder where I put concept worksheets.
Okay.
The benefit of having a student's own copy is that it's editable, right? Because
Okay.
so if you use a tool like Cami where you annotate on PDFs,
Right.
that's not going to be possible with this file. I think
Mm-hmm.
they can, I guess the way that you
Download
can
it.
do it is download it and then save it back
Okay.
to Drive.
Mm-hmm.
So it is an option to basically just say, okay, I'm just put the whole folder of
Mm-hmm.
sheets into the student's template folder. And
Yeah.
so basically what you would do is you would download this whole folder from the public
Right.
version and then drag it back into your template. So the trade-off, one big trade-off with that is that you are then, for every single copy of a student's entire concepts folder, that's going against your Google Drive storage quota,
Ah, okay.
right? And so actually what I do is I put a shortcut to this in my template folder. So you go to add shortcut, and then I put the shortcut in the template folder so that the
Mm-hmm.
student can access them, but then they can
Okay.
also, I have the student sometimes, especially if they're using annotation tools, I'll have them download the entire folder to their computer and then drag it back into their folder so that it's then going against their storage quota instead of mine.
Got it. Because what I was usually doing, what I usually do is I just kind of put in for each student, I put in the concept worksheets, but obviously that doesn't make sense because that's just eating into
Right.
all storage.
And what I do like kind of by default is I don't have any, like I just have the the shortcut there that I don't really necessarily have them worry about. But then when we're working on a worksheet in session, I will drag, I have that whole folder saved on my computer. So then I'll just drag a specific worksheet into their folder
Mhm.
and then work with it from there. So there's a
Okay,
couple different options.
cool. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Any other questions before we proceed?
Yeah, one more question. You have written these are the adaptive tests like 4, 5, 6, 7. These are the blue book tests or these are the non-adaptive, the paper one?
These are the adaptive tests from Blue
So they
Book.
have, so this is the one which the student normally like put in their iPad or calculator, like their laptop.
Yes. So that it would be through Blue Book. Now, um, the worksheets are also safe to use if for a student who's working with linear tests, the PDF versions. And so actually, see, I'm already lost in my templates again. Um, I I've separated out all of the questions. SLT unique stands for SAT linear test. And so these are all of the questions that show up on a linear test, but not on an adaptive test. And I excluded these from the concept worksheets. And so a student who's working with adaptive tests can use these worksheets and use these questions as extra practice, whereas a student who's working with linear tests would not want to use these worksheets.
No, but once he is submitting his answers in blue book, he will have to write the answers here also.
Well,
You'll have to type in all the answers
in
here.
here, in this particular sheet, you mean?
No, like in the like if you open SAT test
Right.
number 6,
Yeah.
like here once he's doing his blue book test, he's typing all the answers in his laptop.
Right. I don't have them fill this out. So,
Okay, so how do we use this?
right. So let me open up. So basically you'd have the student open up their test results
Mm-hmm.
from their um, account
Correct.
and probably share their screen. And then and basically what I have them do, first of all, I have them show all answers and then actually sort by missed answers. So hitting that twice. And then I will copy, if they get the easier, well, obviously they always get the first module. So I always copy the first module in, paste as values. And then I'll have them read off to me their answers to their missed questions. So 7A,
Oh,
8B, 9D, and I'll go change those here,
okay.
or whatever it was.
And Danny, so sorry, a quick question. So why are you doing this one manually if you have that automatic feature that will just migrate all of that data?
Yeah,
Right.
that is what the question was.
Okay, yes. So um, you absolutely can do that as well. Yeah. So basically in this link here, and this is something that's in process where eventually I'm going to have a version of this that you don't have to send somebody to my tutoring website. I'm going to have a separate website that's actually called testprepanalysis.com. I recently purchased. Um, and so, yes, basically when you have them upload their score report PDF, which is just from this button here to download score report. That's the first one you need. And the second one you need, you have them show all answers on the table and you print. You click print. I don't know if you can see the window that popped up just now.
Yes.
Okay. And so you'll have an option for save as PDF. You save that as PDF, and that's the second one you need. And then you just add where it says connect answer analysis spreadsheet. This is actually already shared, so I'm going to be changing the instructions here. So I figured out how to get to automatically add this email address as an editor to the default template. And so you just put in a link to either the admin sheet for the student. Let's just go ahead and do one while we're at it. or you can add the student sheet in. So I'm going to save that, and then let's just put in stuff here. I have some files previously saved. So test 7 will do. Did I do that right? Let's see. I did detail. So actually, I also have it set up to where if you accidentally put these in the wrong order, it'll work anyway. So I'm just going to prove that to myself right now. See if I can figure this one out. They've gotten more challenging lately. Yay. Okay, so my theory is wrong. Let me try that again.
But this analysis is already done. Why do we need it again?
This is a different test. What do you mean?
Like the Blue Book test, it is already like all analysis
Right.
available now once the student submits that.
Well, the College Board does not give you the skill definition.
Oh, okay.
It does give you this, like, those bars like from 1 to 7, but they're not actually telling you how many questions you missed or which ones are in which categories.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
And Danny, also these errors that by putting it into your sheet here, it's going to add these to the opportunity areas, correct? And so it's going to mash together the College Board question bank and the Blue Book tests where the questions were missed to show
Right.
those opportunity areas.
Yes, that's right. So that is another level of detail and granularity that Blue Book is not going to give you. Yeah. Okay, let's try that one more time. Okay, that's a good sign. And then on test 7, momentarily, we should see all of the answers to that test pop in. This is a test that I left the whole second module blank because I was just trying to get the answer keys. So this whole thing should be blank, and this should have answers in it. If this is the link I put in, let me see. Yeah. And there. And so then we can come over here. It currently will email you the report as well. And it's kind of like an NTPA branding, so it's unbranded. And then this is the results of that test. And then that also gets added into the opportunity areas sheet to show how they're doing on both practice tests and concept worksheets together. And then rev analysis is like once students have tried different questions out, and then we'll see, percentages change based on revision. So then you can compare. Well, apparently I have a little bit more work to do because these should be different now. Opportunity areas is supposed to be before the changes, and rev analysis is supposed to be after the changes. Okay. And any other questions, feel free to ask. I'm just going to look at what my next thing is to show you guys. We've covered most of it, at least the highlights.
Wait, Danny, this is a very silly question,
Yeah.
but the previous concept worksheet didn't have that lock at the bottom, and now it does. So I'm always confused what that
Yeah.
means. What does it mean?
Yeah, so the lock means that a sheet is protected. So this one
Okay.
should be hidden anyway. And yeah, I need to make a change on the student sheets because we were seeing that these had locks here. So you're welcome if
Right.
if you feel comfortable with kind of doing it yourself. And
Okay.
I'm happy to do this for anybody who would like. But if you go into your student template file,
Okay.
so it'll say student answer sheet template for your business name or your name. You can just remove these links. So you go to protect sheet and then cancel and then click into this and hit the trash can. So it's a little bit of a
Okay.
weird uh, user flow here. So if this pane isn't showing up, then we go to protect sheet, cancel, click back into here, and then delete.
Got it.
Yeah, and same goes here. So these three are the main ones that I would get rid of. The idea was to have those locks on the template files so that you weren't accidentally changing the templates, and then to remove
Mm,
them, but it looks like I forgot to remove them on the student ones.
gotcha.
Okay. So let's see what else. So ACT needs some work still. Um, so it's definitely usable. But there's some of the more recent tests are not available. And I should probably have a better way of showing whether a test is available or not. Um, and specifically, there's answer keys in for a lot of tests, but not all of them are categorized. This was also pre digital SAT, and so I had done my own categorizations for this. So like over the data tab, these are the different categories that I was calling things. The English and math sections are the ones that they are much better categorized than the reading and science. Um, and most tests don't have reading and science categorized at all. Um, and then these are basically when they're administered. So this is the year and then month of their administration. So these are all the TRR tests that I am not providing access to, just the data to analyze them. It's my disclaimer. But like I think the newer tests I don't believe are categorized currently. So this is something where if somebody would like to use these and kind of help with the categorization, that would be amazing because then I can add it back in for everybody's templates. Um, but let me see, I can show you. So like when you go into concept, anything that's like has a blank here are not categorized. And so these are some of the tests that are at least have some questions categorized, if not all. Um, so let's see the newer tests here. So 2020, so I do have for math and English, it looks like, so this shows you there's, very little categorized on June 2024, but it looks like April 2024 is available. Okay, so enough said about ACT, but let me know if you're interested in kind of using that and maybe doing some data collection on it, and we can work that out. Um, and yeah, feel free to interject at any point now with questions. I'm just kind of going back and looking at what I still wanted to mention.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Um, for the ACT,
Okay.
um, how are you going to be managing the blanking on the term, but the new policy where they kind of are cracking down on TIRs?
Right. So, so basically, the way that I'm seeing it, and I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know if it's going to hold up, but for me, this is just providing data and not providing the TROs themselves. It's possible that
Cool.
providing an answer key is sufficient to be breaking the copyright. I don't know.
Right.
So if that happens, then I'll just take it down. But
but we wouldn't be able to like generate rev sheets or whatever for
Right. You're right.
ACT unless they, I mean, are you planning on integrating with ACT and saying like, hey, if you tell us who has who's paid the fee, then we can give them
Hmm.
access to this?
Yeah, I mean, definitely open to something like that. Um, yeah, it's not like primary focus. Like I have actually created some ACT concept worksheets from TIRs in the past, kind of before they
Okay,
started cracking down on things. It's much more challenging than for the SAT, especially the English, like having to like find the relevant piece of the passage and like all of that kind of stuff. Um, and so it's not something I'm like, that I'm currently focused on. If there was an opportunity down the road and if there was like revenue opportunity behind it or something, then um, I might be
sure.
interested. But yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Let's see. Um, One other thing to mention is that it's important that you use unique names for each student. Um, it's probably good practice anyway. So I just use first name, last name when I create students. Um, the reason being is because these the ref sheet lists. Let me get over to Joe. The ref sheet list is imported from a data sheet called rev sheet data. That is for you'll have a single rev sheet data spreadsheet in your data file here. And basically each student gets their own sheet in this data. And then both the student sheet and the admin sheet are pulling from this data here. So if you created two folders that had the exact same name, they would both be looking at this same data. The flip side of that is that if you um, like delete a folder or something like that for a student, and you want to um, recreate a folder for that student, um, they will already have this list included here. So that may or may not be what you want. So if they already have access to the rev sheets, um, and you know, potentially if they've already done questions on them, then maybe you want to keep these here. You would need to manually like copy over their answers from previous ones. Or if you wanted to start from scratch, and this goes, you can always start from scratch for whatever reason, you can delete these here. And these will go away. You can see here that you need to delete these as well. Um, and then these also need to be deleted. And then if you create a new rev sheet, it'll go back to rev sheet number one because it's actually looking at this column to see what's the latest rev sheet number. That makes sense. And if you see cells turn gray like this, it means you have unlinked the you've unlinked this from the student sheet. You can see for the yellow cells, there's a formula here, which is connecting it to the student sheet. And so if you accidentally make kind of delete cells like this and they turn gray, you can either undo or you can just take a yellow sheet, a yellow column, or sorry, a yellow cell and drag it down. And that'll reconnect the formulas. And so now we have the formulas relevant. So I know this is a lot, and I'm always here to answer questions and everything. And again, the video will be posted and everything. We're about to the end of, it's almost 1 o'clock or 1 o'clock Central. I still have a little time, so if anybody has additional questions, feel free to stay on. We can maybe wrap this kind of officially for this container, and then if anybody wants to stay, I'm happy to continue answering anything. but thank you guys for coming. This is really awesome. I'm really happy with the turnout, and I'm just excited that so many people are interested in.
You've made something super useful. Yeah,
Thank you.
I think it's really apparent.
Yeah, I do
Appreciate it.
have a question, Dan.
Yeah.
Oh, any, so if I wanted to track whether I've reviewed something, because now I see I don't want to touch what is, say, column E here, right? Because there's hidden stuff
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So what would be a good way? I could change my admin template, right? And could I add a new column with a checkbox for whether it's been reviewed or something, or my notes, or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can. So, um, actually, that is one thing that I would meant to show you, and this is currently only I currently only have this for the practice tests. We have this reviewed column,
Okay.
and so if you type in anything into this column, it will highlight that question on the practice test sheet. So what I do is that like I haven't been using this data other than to mark it, but like if the student gets the question right the first time on like if they miss it the first time and then like get it right the first time we review it, then I put a 1 or a 2 if they didn't get it the first time, or a blank if I had to explain it to them. And then you'll see that numbers 1 through 3 here on test 4, oh, test 4 are highlighted. So that's currently what's happening. You could definitely do something similar on these guys, is you could have them highlight using a conditional formatting. You could um, basically you would want to do something very similar to this conditional formatting formula, except instead of looking at practice test data, you would look at question bank data. And you would basically add a column here for reviewed.
Okay.
There's other stuff here. There's time series analysis. So you're actually able to see their progress on specific types of questions over time. Um, it's it's a little like I feel pretty good about this. I think it's still kind of I think beta. Um, there's still some volatility and like sometimes this will update when it's not supposed to and things like that. And so, you know, but it's definitely has potential at least. I've tried to make it so that it kind of saves and like locks the values when they show up. But there's kind of more I could be doing there. Um, but yeah, and then these are the columns that are used for the rev sheets. So these will update um, if if they've been added to rev sheets.
Okay. And then for current students who are using the data before, because I understand now you put in test 1, 2, and 3, the questions that are not being used, right, into the that weren't put into 7 to 10.
Yeah.
So those are in the question bank now. So then are they like toward is there any way to know which ones were?
Yeah, so I did I did append them to the end.
Excellent.
Um, there are there might be certain cases where numbers get changed. I'm because like there was I can't remember what the situation would be. You know, because um you've got the test 1 to 3 questions coming, the ones that are not used on 8 to 10 that are being added to the end, and then I think the good thing is that they did not use question bank questions for the new 8 to 10 questions, or 7 for that matter.
Okay, that's good.
So that was a big relief. Um, I'll have to get back to you if I find a specific example of where the question numbers would have changed and why. I feel like there was some detail. It might have even been that I found a couple mistakes in my data that changed them. But yeah, I think for the most part they're consistent. And I think ultimately using the IDs is kind of the kind of way to check for sure.
Okay, so if I take my current students' answers and I just cut and paste them in order in the new spreadsheet, I'll just know whatever they haven't answered yet.
Well,
If they,
thank you for mentioning that too, because I have a solution for that specifically as well,
okay.
which is there's now a transfer student data script.
Oh,
So basically what you do here, you can it's going to prompt for a URL or ID. So if you have a previous spreadsheet that the student was working with, copy that in here. But the other thing you can do, I don't know if you noticed that, this should just end that, yeah. So the other thing that you can do, so you can see that as I put answers over here in the student sheet, um, oh, these are no longer linked. Let me change, oh, maybe that first one. Yeah, okay, so this is one that came from the student data. So I have a different color showing whether it's coming from the student sheet or coming from the admin sheet. Okay, just one thing that helps for me is just like when I'm scrolling through it, I can see what the new stuff is, so that I know, oh, did this, the student did this for homework. Um, and so if I just run this transfer student sheet and I leave this blank, it actually updates, it saves everything as values. So this will turn eventually, this one takes some time, but this one will turn pink because it's going to be hard coded. And all of these are going to get added to the student sheet. And so this shows the student which ones they've done already. Because currently, basically the reason that I would have answers in here is because I'm working with a student during a session through questions. So they're not seeing on their end yet that they've done those. But whenever this thing runs and finishes, assuming it finishes, which sometimes Google Apps Script has like a 6-minute time limit on functions, and at certain times of day it's like particularly slow. Um, and so if it runs correctly, then all of these will get added over here. And if it doesn't, it'll revert. And if there's any issues with that, and if it creates any errors, let me know. There is always the version history, so there's always a way to restore the previous state if there are any issues. Google Sheets is good about version history in that way. Um, but it's been working well so far for me. We'll see if this does what it's supposed to do. Does it make sense?
well, I wasn't clear. Is it going to be updating so the student actually sees the conditional formatting?
Not the
Or
colors, no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Only on the admin end. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
So students, they never really see until we go and do a review. They're not going to know, right, what they got right and wrong.
Correct.
Okay. Which
So
is fine.
there's one little exception to that, which I'm finding other things that I've forgotten to mention. Um, so there is the student does have access to the opportunity areas sheet. And this will always have this error initially. And you do have to allow access to it. But this then pulls in that same data from the admin side. And so now the student can see how they're doing. And this is where I found it's been really nice for students to basically see this and be able to pick out which categories they want to work on for homework.
Sure.
And I love it because I like the last 5 minutes of session, I'm always like, okay, wait a second, what do we want to do for homework? And so now for some students, at least, some students who are, more diligent and consistent, I can just say, let's do 30 minutes of reading and writing and 30 minutes of math on whatever categories you see fit. And still running, so we'll see. I also wanted to point out, so the student sheets, the student templates also have this rev analysis sheet. So this will only show up once the opportunity areas data is connected. And so again, this is where the intention here, and it doesn't appear to be working at the moment, but the intention is that opportunity areas is just based on their first attempt of a question. And then rev analysis brings in their revisions once they've tried a rev sheet and retried a question. And so ultimately we should really only be seeing these numbers should only be increasing. The rev analysis spreadsheet should only have a higher percentage than the opportunity areas, since currently at least only missed questions are being retried. But what this does give them is it does show them where if they are getting a question right over here, they could see their percentage go up over here. And so it could be a way for them to figure out if they got the right answer or not without having gone through you, if that makes sense.
Right, I see.
And so it's up to you if you want this sheet or not. If that's something that is not worth doing, then just delete the rev analysis from your template. And I'm actually I just today when I just saw this right as I was preparing for the meeting today, and I went ahead and deleted this sheet on my client template so that I wasn't creating this going forward. It's still on the admin side, just not on the student side. So that's up to you. And again, it's not working currently anyway. So currently, it seems like the opportunity area sheet is not working correctly. It looks like this is updating when the percentages are in, like if a student is getting a rev sheet question correct, it looks like these percentages are increasing when they shouldn't be, and rev analysis is working as it should be.
And then the other thing, you went through three, like, it was like hidden sheets or something that we should delete, and I wasn't clear about that.
Okay.
If you want, you could use mine as an example.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, sure, let's do it. Let me get my. Okay, so I think it was the protected sheets, right?
Okay, yeah, protected sheets, right.
Right. Okay, so template is fine. I accidentally unmuted myself or muted myself. Okay, so template should have protected sheets. Generally, the only because that's preventing you from accidentally changing this sheet.
Okay.
It looks like my script is not currently removing the protected sheets from the student version as I intended. So what we can do is go into the student template and we can unprotect these sheets. These are not the ones you're going to be using anyway to you can't generate a student folder from here anyway, so there's really no need for it. And a student isn't going to see the template either, so I don't think this is necessary.
Oh, let's see. Okay, so it's just a matter of okay.
Yeah.
We're not removing anything. I see, we're just
Correct.
unprotecting.
There are also hidden sheets, but and there was probably a rev sheets backend sheet that was showing at one point that I realized I needed to hide.
So then the one student I just generated, I just go into his three sheets then and just do the same thing.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's amazing. Like it's amazing how quickly I like accumulate tabs with with
Oh
just like
yeah, that's a lot of
showing this
tabs.
stuff. It won't be as bad on your end, but I just have like templates of templates of templates. So, and thank you very much, Max. I saw your
Oh,
contribution.
I realized that sometimes we actually have had students with the same name. So what are we just gonna have to put a two at the end or something like that?
Something or middle initial. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
You could put a date. You could put like a year or a date.
Oh yeah, that's
I mean,
good.
you're gonna want some way to distinguish their folders anyway. So,
Right, sure. Yeah, and by the way, I meant first, yeah, you got it. First name and last name, same, sure. Yeah, we could do a year. Yeah.
well, awesome. Let's see. I think between I think between the questions, I think we've covered just about everything I was hoping to. Branding, for anybody who does not have the branded sheets yet, um, basically, I just need a logo that will look good on the header background color. So, or on your header background color. So, you can choose brand colors for this background, for this kind of subject total, and then the domain total can just stay gray, or you can change it if you want. And then actually the font color, if you want like any of these colors can be the same as any other ones, but these are ones that I just put into my script. Um, your logo, if it has a transparent background, that's ideal, or if you have a background color on the logo, just make it match, choose the background color of the logo as the background color of the header, and that's fine. Um, and yeah, I really appreciate it. And I think, well, let me just also, if anyone has not contributed and wishes to contribute, I'll just post my Zelle and Venmo in the chat. Um, okay. 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 So no, totally fine either way. But I do really appreciate, I really appreciate everybody who has contributed already. And I'm just thinking like once a year type of thing. Also, I am planning, down the road, I'm basically planning on making this a subscription service of the score report generator and actually making the whole template kind of like where as soon as a student uploads a test, it automatically creates an entire template for them. Um, and so, if you contribute anything, basically you're going to automatically get like your first year free of this. Um, and so, for what that's worth, um, and maybe, maybe more than a year, I don't know. I'm open to suggestions. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's been really awesome to like, I feel it's been really great to have, to be able to be doing this like creating this like kind of step by step and really being able to provide value every step of the way to where like I would have never gotten to the point where I like was creating a score uploader if people weren't already using the templates, so I'm just really thankful for kind of how it's all unfolded, and um thank you for all the appreciation you guys have sent, because it's definitely made me excited to continue doing all this. So yeah, it's been a really, really great experience all around. All right. Well, I think that's probably a good place to call it. But thank you guys all for attending again. And please just reach out with any questions that you have. And yeah, happy to support.